What's really good, guys? Welcome on back to Love War Challenges. I am Lord Louder, here to break down a special one-off video. Now, as you guys know, the year has ended. 2021 is behind us. It's out the door. But with that, we had 4 seasons of the challenge, 2 on Paramount Plus and 2 on regular MTV to discuss. And as you guys know, Challenge Mania, the mecca of challenge podcasts, drops down their Challenge Mania awards. So I thought, why not give my opinion on their awards? So this video here is going to be me breaking down 9 of the 15 awards and who I think should win this based on using logic, keeping my, unbiased takes there, and just using some statistical and analysis to break down who actually was the best at each of these categories. With all that being said, let's go ahead and kick ourselves off with Male Rookie of the Year. Now, the nominees are Ed, Corey Lay, Emmanuel, Logan, and Nam. Now, 4 of these guys debuted on season 37, with Nam debuting on season 36, Double Agents. Here's the thing. We're going to knock out Nam right away. He was on 2 seasons, medically DQ'd on both of them. He finished 18th and 7th, respectively. He's out. We're also going to knock out Corey Lay. Personally, I don't understand why these guys are on this list. I guess because you got to fill out a couple names, and there wasn't a lot of good rookies this year, that's fair to say. But Corey finished 14th, and he went 1-1 elimination. Next, I'm going to knock out Ed. He finished 9th place on this past season, 1-1 eliminations, also 1-1 daily, will partner with Tori. So that comes down to Emmanuel and Logan. Now, when we look at these 2 guys, they both did a little bit different things. One was a better team player. He was on a stronger team all season long, that being Emmanuel. Now, he went 1-1 elimination, and Logan went 2-1. Now, what really separates them, because they went, they're 5th and they were 6th, what really separates them is that Emmanuel won 6 dailies compared to Logan's, I believe, 2 or 3. And with that being said, that means that Emmanuel was consistently on the winning team more. And until a final, you got to throw in a rookie at the very end in the elimination, until he went up against Devin in a puzzle, he might have won the whole season. So I think looking at the resumes we have here, Emmanuel is the clear choice, as we see here, as winner for Male Rookie of the Year. Now let's move to Female Rookie of the Year, and I'm going to say that the top of this is way more impressive than the bottom of this list. Now the nominees are Berna, Emmy, Esther, Amber B, and Tasha. Now, this is another situation where we're talking about rookies not really being that, desirable. But what we do have on this list is we have 2 dominant female rookies that did not play and look like rookies throughout the season. Now, let's talk about who comes in 5th, 4th, and 3rd. Coming in last place here for me is Tasha. She finished in 15th place on the past season, went 0-1 elimination. She was a little more bark than bite. And outside of her having this huge fandom away from the challenge, it really doesn't do it for me. Now let's talk about Esther. Esther had finished in 12th place. She won 2 dailies, 0-1 in eliminations. Here's the thing. She was partnered with Fessy. And people might not like Fessy, but if you know how I talk about Fessy, he is one of the best competitors in this new modern era that we have of the challenge. He just wins dailies. He wins eliminations. He's just a good player at a lot of these games. And so her being paired up with him, I think, has more to do with how good he consistently is in dailies. That's not saying she's bad, but I think that she is carried up a little bit. Her resume looks better because of Fessy than it would if she was partnered with somebody else on this show. And then next we get Berna. Now, Berna finished in 11th place. She had 1 daily win as well, and she went 1-1 eliminations. But again, outside of a storyline with Nelson, she really, kind of the way she was kind of talking about CT and everything, she kind of was in the shadows more than the other 2. And outside of her being like an athlete, she really didn't bring out much else to the challenge. Now, to our real 2 contenders, Emmy and Amber B. Now, this is a hard one to go back and forth because when we look at Amber B made a final and she won as a rookie. She had 1 daily win between 2 seasons, though. That's what we have to realize here. And she also finished 10th place on the 2nd season as she was a heavy target. And she finished 10th place on a season that she came in late too. So she kind of had an advantage to not have to go in early. She did go 3-1 eliminations, which is really boosting up her resume here as well. And that win is phenomenal as well. I do believe that being paired with CT though is something that I kind of look at as like, do I want to give you as much credit? This isn't saying that when I'm talking about her and Esther, I'm not saying that the females don't carry their weight or that they rely too much on the male partners, but we just know how good CT was these past 2 seasons. And it was almost like whoever was partnered with CT was probably going to get the W. Now, Amber B, though, did go 3-1 eliminations. Now, my only issue that I have with this is that she picked her eliminations pretty much on double agents, and she had 2 very easy matchups in that season that I'm kind of looking at her and I'm just like, I don't know if those are that impressive. They're good numbers, but they're kind of fluff numbers. Still impressive, though. But then let's talk about Emmy. Emmy was getting touted as Rookie of the Year before, these awards even came out. She went 4-0 eliminations. She got 3rd place on her final that she was in, and she had 3 daily wins. So she had a better elimination record through 1 season compared to Amber's 2, and she won more dailies in 1 season compared to Amber's 2. And they both made a final as well. For me, the award goes to Emmy. I think that she was more dominant and wasn't relying as much on her partners as she was constantly moving teams. I know she relied on CT a lot, but she won multiple solo eliminations that she just got thrown into. She didn't get to pick her opponent and go against somebody easy. I'm not saying her people that she went up against were difficult compared to Amber's more so, but it wasn't like, oh, I see somebody weak, I can take them out, I'm going to go. So for me, I'm going to give it to Emmy, but I think this one right here is a coin toss that is very close. This is like a 51-49 split where I'm just leaning towards Emmy because she did everything more in 1 season outside of Get the W. Now, let's move on to what everybody's most, probably your favorite ones every year. But the problem is, with this one being our favorite, is that we actually didn't get any good nominees. That is for Elimination of the Year. Now, the nominees are as follow. We have Letarian versus Tyler on All Stars 2, Jay versus Leroy on Double Agents, Eric and Yesela versus Nehemiah and Kendall on All Stars 1, Fessy versus Nelson in Double Agents, and then we have Katie and Letarian versus Kendall and Mark from All Stars 1. So I'm going to say this right now. Who I would vote for is not on this list. I believe Kyle versus Josh in Burning Bridges from season 37 was a more dramatic, hyped up, and like such a close finish. And just it brought so much more TV to life. Now, if I have to pick from these, when we look at these eliminations, Fessy dominated Nelson. The only reason it's on this list is because Fessy was dirty, bending back Nelson's fingers, rubbing dirt in his face. But it wasn't a good elimination. It was he destroyed him. We talk about Katie and Letarian versus Kendall and Mark. It is a historical moment because it's Mark's first ever elimination win. But when we look at these teams, Letarian and Mark came out pretty well balanced where any guy could win, but Kendall was never going to lose to Katie. There was really no dramatics in that for me at all. Then we get to Eric and Yesela versus Nehemiah and Kendall. It is an upset because they weren't expected to win. But when we look at what happened, it wasn't really that good of dramatics. We get this whole thing of Yesela hurting her ankle and still being able to perform. And, they got the win and she beat Kendall, who she's supposed to not be as good as. And Nehemiah was talking trash about Big Easy, but it wasn't that entertaining. Now we get to Leroy and Jay. This is the second time Leroy's done this elimination. He did it back on we have X's 2, and he destroyed that elimination. It was a little bit different, probably a little higher up on logs and everything. And him and Jay had this race, but it's more memorable because it's Leroy's final elimination win, and he beat somebody that's pretty good at this, and probably could have beat a lot of other people. But Leroy's probably the best competitor ever do this elimination. So let's get to who I actually have as the winner. That's Letarian versus Tyler in their version of Pole Wrestle, X Wrestle, whatever, in that season of All Stars 2. Letarian is a beast when it comes to pole wrestle. I'd love to see a day where we get him versus Kyle because they are 2 of the best pole wrestle, ring wrestle, whatever that we have. And I mean, it's been reported that Tyler had multiple injuries after that. He was bruised up, broken ribs, his forearm was all wrapped up and everything, and his wrist, and he was beaten up, but he didn't stop fighting. And it was an awesome battle. And I think because of how chaotic and physical and entertaining that one was, Letarian versus Tyler from All Stars 2 gets the win for me for Elimination of the Year. Now let's talk about most improved. Now, as a high school soccer coach myself, this is my favorite award to give out every year because it shows people that they've grown and they've stepped up more, and they've just like taken this like newfound pride on being better than what they were and not settling for what they used to be. Now, our nominees for this are John A, who resume speaks for herself. Won All-Stars 2, got third place on All-Stars 1. She never had to see elimination. She won like 3 dailies, I think, in those times. We'll talk about her more as well and get more detailed on her. She's nominated for other awards. And then we have Melinda. You know, she got second place on All-Stars 2, 2-0 in eliminations, which, mind you, she was 0-4 in eliminations of all time on all of her challenge seasons that she was on the main show. And she had 2 daily wins as well. So huge improvement for her. And then we look at Big Easy. I think Big Easy's on here because he made a final. But in that final, he got 10th place out of the 12. And he probably would have gotten 12th place or 10th, probably 11th or 12th if Yesela and Derek were allowed to compete on the next day. He came in behind everybody, but he finished because, I mean, he did. He had 2 daily wins through the teams he was on and the pairs. He went 1-0 in elimination. That elimination we talked about. But, I mean, he still came in last place. And it was 10th because it was all individual. Then we talk about Casey. Casey's on here, I think, because she had a daily win, an individual daily win, and it was like a heights thing, but it was like trivia. But she looked like a completely different competitor. She wasn't scared to go do height. She wasn't scared to jump up and do things. She wasn't scared to, call out people and make, try and make moves. But she ended up getting 7th place among the females on All Stars 2. And I think her performance in dailies was a lot better than it used to be in the past. And then we get Devin. Back on Double Agents, he finished 9th place, but on the Spies, Lies, and In Disguise and Troubled Allies or whatever, he got 3rd place. He ended up going 2-1 in eliminations, and he had 7 daily wins for those 2 seasons, mainly on season 37. When you look at this list, I'm going to eliminate Big Easy and Casey. It was on a sideshow that I'm not saying that as discredits them, but the competition was lighter. We saw what people had to do. I don't think it was that impressive. Now, I do think Casey did improve. And John A, I don't think John A should be on most improved. Like, I get that, like, she won and she got 3rd place on the first one, made 2 finals. But, like, John A was always looked at as, like, other female competitors wanted to eliminate her because she was too good and too much of a threat. Her improvement is that she made finals. But I've always looked at John A as a well-rounded competitor that can do almost anything out there, just as good as the people we call the greats for the female side. So I don't really think she improved as much. But she did win, and I'm not discrediting that at all. I think it comes down to Melinda and Devin, because Melinda was historically known for, halfway through a season, she's eliminated. Anytime she goes into elimination, she's out. She doesn't win dailies. And then she did all those things and more. Like, she completely improved upon who she was. Just a person that's just kind of there to have fun, and she came to compete. And then we talk about Devin. And Devin is always looked at as kind of like a laughing stock. Like, oh, he's not as good as these other guys that are here. They'll all beat him and everything. And you know what? He comes down and he beats Wes in elimination. He beats Emmanuel in elimination. He did lose his elimination to Darrell, which we're saying he lost elimination to Darrell. That's who he went up against. And he took home 3rd place. And the big thing is that I truly believe, and this is just my opinion, I've been saying this a lot, that Devin controlled the whole narrative of season 37. He controlled the vet alliance. He controlled why everything was happening. I could be wrong. That's what I'm going to stick to and everything. And with that being said, Melinda gets 2nd place for me. It's very close, but Devin gets the win for most improved from who they used to be to who they are now as a competitor. We need to take a break. This would be a great time to have here's a word from our sponsors, but you know what? Let's go ahead and keep talking about this, and let's just go dive into the very top. Let's talk about Male Competitor of the Year. Now, this is not about, I'm not going to talk about how good of they are in confessionals or like strategy. We're talking about as a competitor, how well did they compete in everything they did? Now, the nominees are CT, Nehemiah, Darrell, Leroy, and Yes. And we have champions right here, right? We have finalists right here. So let's talk about it. CT, super simple. 7 daily wins, 1-0 in elimination, and he won 2 challenges last season. Yes had 1 challenge win on All Stars 1, 2 daily wins, never had to see elimination. And he smoked that final like it was nothing. Darrell made 2 finals on All Stars. He got 2nd place on both of them, and he got 6th place for the males on Double Agents as well. And then he had 5 daily wins, and he went 2-1 in eliminations on his 3 shows. Nehemiah, I have him down for 3-1 in eliminations. He won 4 dailies on his 2 seasons, and he had a second place finish on All Stars 2. And I think completely controlled the narrative on All Stars 1. Not necessarily controlled the narrative, but he was the mainstay of the focus of everything, which we're not really judging, but I just want to kind of highlight that. And then we talk about Leroy, 3rd place on his only season. He went 1-0 in eliminations, but he did win 5 dailies. He was probably the best. If we have to call it like the final, the Super Bowl or the playoffs, we'd have to call all the challenges up until then the regular season. He was the best regular season competitor on Double Agents for the male side. And with that being said, this is a very tight one. I think Nehemiah gets 5th for me. Darrell gets 4th. And I think it comes down to Leroy, yes, and CT. Here's the thing. CT went up against a lot of young dogs, a lot of hungry guys. He was a target from day one on 36, but he still lasted, and he won 2 finals with 2 different partners. And they just couldn't get rid of him. So for that, CT wins Male Competitor of the Year. Now let's talk about Female Competitor of the Year. Now the nominees are Casey, Emmy, John A, Amber B, and Jody. And oh my, what a stacked group of individuals. Unlike their male counterparts, where you could easily see a division and divide of tiers based on how they performed, all 5 of these girls dominated at certain points and certain aspects of physical competition. We saw Jody win, like pretty much dominate, getting 1st, 2nd, or 3rd on almost every daily. She went 1-1 in eliminations, which was her first elimination win as well. 4 daily wins total on All Stars 2. Amber B, we already talked about it earlier. She won a final as well as a rookie. 3-1 eliminations, did really well there. John A, 2 finals, a 3rd place finish, a championship. She won 2 dailies as well, dominated that aspect. Emmy, 4-0 eliminations, got 3rd place, won 3 dailies. But let's talk about our champion of this, and the winner of Female Competitor of the Year, Casey. Now say what you want. Casey's not entertaining enough. Casey doesn't give us much. Oh, I'm tired of this drama. But Casey's good at the damn game. You want to know how good she is? She made 2 finals. She took home a 4th place and a 1st place. Her 4th place was a medical disqualification because she hurt her knee. So we don't know where she would have finished. I could probably confidently say that they probably would have finished 3rd or 2nd. Maybe they would have won. I don't know. But she did that back to back. She's never been eliminated from the game. She went 2-0 in eliminations. She won 11 dailies on 2 shows. That is domination. That is Jody-esque if we're talking about on like Duel 1 domination. That is veteran team on like Gauntlet 3 domination. She did that with 3 different groups. She did that partner with Leroy. She was dominant with Fessy as a partner. She was dominant in the Emerald Cell. And prior to that, with Emmanuel, she did really well. She did fantastic. And she went 2-0 in eliminations as well. That's something we have to talk about. I know we don't really, I don't know if they didn't really count it. I was looking at the statistics, and the challenge really didn't count that elimination against Nani in the final as an elimination, although she did eliminate her from the game and it was 1-on-1, but whatever. She did that. She dominated. She wins Female Competitor of the Year. She was better in finals than all these other ladies, how I think personally, that's me. She was better in her eliminations by not losing as well, outside of Emmy doing more. And on top of that, she won more dailies than all of them and was just a dominant force on all competition aspects. All right, let's talk about a sad one. This is the Sarah Rice Award for Most Screwed. Now we talk about Nam. Medically disqualified 2 seasons in a row for his injuries. I believe his back was the main source of his pain and everything, but we never really got to see Nam unleashed. I don't think that's most screwed. Like, I mean, obviously your body getting hurt and everything sucks, but like the game didn't screw him. Like, it's his own body. He did it to himself, kind of. It just happened, you know. That's just, I'm not saying anything bad about him, but I don't think that really should count here. Now, Kendall, we see her get hurt as well. You know, she has to go into the final elimination because on season 1 of All Stars, they thought it was a female champion and a male champion. So they all got rid of Kendall, not worrying about the men, and we're only worried about her. So, I mean, she kind of screwed by being targeted by not knowing the finals format. But then her injury as well. I mean, these aren't things that I just kind of see as like they got screwed by the game. We talk about Fessy. Fessy got all the way to the final on season 36. His partner hurts her knee. He can't compete in the final. He's done. Now, I believe he could have carried her. We saw Darrell carry his partner on All Stars 1. I'm drawing a blank. Oh, man, Ruthie carried Ruthie. I think Fessy could have carried Casey, and they probably could have still almost probably finished that final if he would have just carried her. But it would have sucked, but could have done it. But his partner gets hurt. They have to get disqualified from the final. And then he gets kicked out after his altercation with Josh, which I believe they both should have been kicked out, but he's the only one that got the blunt because he kind of just, downplayed what Josh did. And he was going through a lot mentally by, through his religion and everything. So he's already like going through a lot in the house, trying to be through all that. I don't remember what it is. I'm not going to dive into it. And so those things happen, but Kahada, come on. Kahada, like almost everybody's like favorite challenger, a person that people hardly ever say anything bad about in the challenge community as fans or in the house as challenge competitors. And he didn't even get to compete in elimination to go home. He got sent home because Casey was pregnant. They didn't change the rules to say, you know what, Kahada, you can come down in elimination and take the voted in player's spot. And nope, they just said, no, you go home because she's pregnant. And they should have said, Casey's getting sent home because she's pregnant. You have to go into elimination. Don't even vote on anybody. The people at MTV should have just done that. That's me. Who knows? Maybe delay the elimination by a day because you're waiting on a pregnancy test. But he had no say over anything. And because his partner was pregnant, he got sent home. And that is the definition of getting screwed. This is no downfall to Casey. And he was very positive. He's a great goddamn partner. He's a great fucking partner. But he got eliminated based on circumstances outside of his control. Outside like the others, where Fessy could have not argued. He could have, not gotten a fight. Kendall could have painted a target on her back a little differently. She could have, the way she dove into that water, maybe it could have been different. Not her fault, I get it, and Nam could have maybe been, changed how he competed in things. Stuff happens. But Kahada, everything was outside of his control. I might get some backlash and slack on that last one, but that's how I feel about it, And I like to look at these from an analytical perspective. Now let's talk about comeback of the year. Now, comeback of the year is a little different, and I think this is more appropriately used than, for some of these guys, than most improved. And I like how Challenge Mania is, some of these awards are really deserving. Here's what we got. We got Cyrus. Now, Cyrus has a comeback of the year because I don't actually know why Cyrus is on this list. There's no offense. I think Cyrus is probably an amazing guy to like meet and have hang out and, have a beer with, whatever, or party with. But what did he come back from? I mean, he was last on the Ruins, where he was looked at as a guy that they just kind of, were using as a meat shield. So that way the big alliance didn't have to go in. And then he gets sent home by Kahada. Really, it's whatever. And he comes back and went home early. So I don't know. But Casey hurt her knee in a final, came back, won a final. Teresa, what I got Teresa last competed on season 28, I believe. It was 28. It was 26. So season 26, whatever XS2 was the last one she competed on. So, I mean, we're talking about 10 seasons gap, a 6-year gap. She's had kids at this point. And even though she kind of had a mid-season exit, I thought Teresa was performing very well and that she was, making moves really well and kind of understood the game, but kind of she overplayed herself and put herself in a corner. But she actually came back considering, how long it's been since she's been here. But when she left on a final. She left, in the season before that, she got 4th place just before a final, and she was dominant. So I don't know. She really come back from too much. It's not like, Joe Burrow coming back from ACL in injury or, Dak Prescott's ankle and he comes back and it's a big season. Janelle won her rookie season. And then her next year on Gauntlet 3, she went out and then she kind of just was like bashing the rookie team for putting the wrong person ahead of her, and she lost in elimination, and she came back and got 2nd place, probably 1st. I don't know. They're screwed. I don't dive deep into these off-season things because I don't care about this personal drama. I just watch the show, analyze the show. But based on her performance on Gauntlet 3 to now getting 2nd place, that's a pretty good comeback. Latarian was, I don't know, like a fool on his first time out on the challenge. He was not very good. He was okay, blah. He does a little performance and everything. Wah, and he's out. And then he comes back, and man, this guy, I'm a big Latarian fan now. Way bigger than when I was when he first on the challenge. And he comes out, and, he goes 2-2 in eliminations. And he has maybe, some of the most violent and brutal pole wrestles we have, just picking up and slamming Ace, picking up and slamming Tyler. And he was just a beast. And he was a great person on commentary, in the background. He really can drive a story. And he was, on top of that, a fantastic partner to all of his partners and very supportive. And then we talk about MJ. MJ came back. I believe this is MJ's 4th season on All Stars 2. Let's talk about it. So he was on what? He was on the Gauntlet 2, where he won a championship because technically, you know, the veterans quit, whatever. The worst final in challenge history. And then he comes back and he was on Gauntlet 3 as a replacement, but then he went out to, I don't even remember who eliminated him. I remember exactly who eliminated Frank. Frank eliminated him in that little ankle breaker thing, and he kind of underestimated him and went out, and it was like, it was towards the end. And then we get to Duel 2, and he's actually another replacement, comes in late, but this time he finds his way in the alliance and works his way down, and he gets 5th place, and he goes out just towards the end, and he almost makes another final. And that's kind of what he's done. He makes a final, wins. He almost gets to a final, and then he comes back, and here's the thing. Let me talk about MJ. He won. 0 elimination wins because he never had to go into eliminations. Think about that. He played the exact same game, and everybody let him. And with all that being said, getting that championship over everybody we have in here. Now, Casey's a good comeback, but Casey's knee injury was not as significant as I thought it was. So it's not like she really came back from anything. She went from getting 4th to 1st. MJ went from not playing since the Duel 2, which is even longer than, some of these other people like Casey and Teresa for a big gap. But he outperformed those that took a longer break, like Cyrus, Janelle, and Latarian. And I just think with that being said, in his political game that he played, he came back and played fantastic with the championship in the end. And now the final one that we have to talk about. This is award number 9. Now there are 6 awards I'm not talking about. Those being like male personality, female personality, best commentary, best moment. I think maybe best song. I don't know. Best dressed. I don't even. Most likely to go to college. I don't know these superlatives that they were giving out. But these are the 9 best that I wanted to talk about. We're going to talk about Challenger of the Year. All these people deserve to be on here for different reasons. Now, first when I looked at this, I was like, why is Mark on this list? And I was like, oh yeah, he created All Stars. He got it lifted. He got all this nostalgia in, which is a very dangerous drug to, have. And it's very dangerous. And nostalgia brought us fans a lot of happiness. I've never seen fans more hyped for a challenge season in a long time than I did with All Stars 1 and All Stars 2. So that's why Mark's on here. The Godfather came through and delivered a show that we all love and are always going to remember. Now, All Stars 3 is, at the time of me filming this, is doing its thing. We're having All Stars 3 already. That's crazy. Now, Casey on this list, we've already talked about her accolades. Dominant. We've already talked about Janae's accolades. Dominant. Yes, dominated that final. Just the final. And then we talked about CT. So, as you see this thing right here, this is almost exactly how it's going to go. Now we see Yes on the far left. Yes takes 5th place for us here. And then we see Mark on the far right of this graphic, and he takes 4th place for us because I think it was a little more memorable. And Yes was only really good in the final. Outside of that, he wasn't a better challenger. He didn't have better confessionals. He wasn't better at driving a storyline or anything, but he was great in the final and probably would be really good in almost any final, I would like to say. John A. Casey, really dominant, but we have to remember this is more than just being a good competitor. And I believe that Casey's lack of a dominant personality and like a super like quotable person in interviews and confessionals or like driving the narrative of a story kind of puts her at a 3rd place. And John A., fantastic, amazing competitor, dominant on her seasons, never had to go into elimination in 2 seasons. And I think that shows just how good she really is. And she was great at commentary. We have some great storylines of her overcoming. But for me, it's CT. CT is the winner of this award. And now I might be a little biased here and everything, but I believe CT is the GOAT of the challenge. He's the greatest to ever play this game. He is amazing in dailies, as a solo, pair, a quad, or a full team. He's good in eliminations. Now people look at his elimination record, I think he's 7-5. And they're like, oh, but if you dive deeper into that, it's not as bad as you look at it. And I know that's another video for another day. But on top of that, he was target number 1 on season 36 and then somehow won the whole thing. And he got his elimination that he wanted exactly as well. He won. I wish I had it in front of me. He's had 2 wins. Oh, I had 7 daily wins for him. 1-0 in elimination. But he was enemy number 1. Both seasons. People were really worried about him. And he won 2 finals with 2 different partners. And he had a multitude of teams and switching and everything. And being the biggest target, being the best in the house, and he still finds a way to win. I think that says something. And I think the year of 2021 is the year of CT. And with all that being said, that is it for us here on Love War Challenges. Be sure to subscribe down below. Get us to 1,000. We're almost there. Check out our other videos we got here. We've done top 10s talking about, the top 10 biggest bands, the best eliminations of all time. That's actually a top 20. We got our best finals on here. We had worst finals, but Viacom, snip that down because we can't talk bad about anything here on the challenge community. But also we have a weekly podcast that we talk about every episode of the challenge and recap it as we go along. Follow us on Twitter where we got Giftmaster Bex. The great Becky is always tweeting, getting stuff going for us there. Malik is running things over on Facebook as well. And you can listen to us on every single platform that we have podcasts available as well. Now, for those of you watching this, if you stuck around till right now, you can kind of rewind, fast forward, pause and everything. Give me your 9 winners from these categories I have here down in the comments. And if you think you really disagree with what I have to say, I don't care. But let me know down in the comments anyways. I'll read it anyways. But that's all I got to say for you guys. This is Lord Louder from Love War Challenges, and I am out. Until next time, when we drop another top 10 video.